What's going on, everybody? It's Danny from Slow Restoration, and we're still in the garage here. Been actually moving stuff around all morning. Haven't really filmed much. It's just another one of those days where everything is going to turn into a giant mess so that we can organize stuff again. It's going to be the last warmer day around here for a little while, it seems like. So I really would like to get this bed outside, stood up on end, and pressure wash the whole underside. So right now I'm popping the clips off for these ground effects. We're going to get these off and maybe even take the fender flares off. All that needs to be removed to paint this thing anyway. So once we get this outside, like I said, we can pressure wash, clean this up good, because it's going to be the last warm-ish day, above freezing anyway around here. So going to try our best to get that done, and also get the motor and trans test fit into the frame if at all possible. So let's get to work. Taking these flares off is actually not real fun of a job. They're actually two-way taped on there. Of course, they have screws to hold the bottoms in, and two-way taped the rest of the way up around the body line edge. So some heat would definitely help, and just go real nice and slow. If not, you can definitely crack these or warp them even, and even putting cracks in the paint just makes extra work when you go to paint these things. So we did get it off, and you can see why I took them off. It's just filthy. You probably could paint these on there. Sanding would be a little bit more difficult, and sure enough, when you go to clear, some of that dirt's going to come out and just cause you issues. So we'll get these pulled off the rest of the way, and blast this with some pressure wash, get this all cleaned up, scrubbed down, and it'll be a much better job. We got our bed moved outside with a little help, standing up on end. Like I said, we'll get this pressure washed and cleaned all up. It's got a little surface rust scaly, but I think it'll come off pretty easy. It actually looks pretty good. We also have our spindles ripped down. We'll get them pressure washed, and our steering box. And this is the ZQ8, so it's the fast ratio steering box. But we'll also get that pressure washed and get it painted up also. Let's get this done. Alright guys, I've been pressure washing here all day. I feel like a drowned rat, soaking wet, but we got a lot done. We got the springs pulled off the differential. We got them all pressure washed. I pressure washed this before, but I wasn't quite happy with how clean it was, so we hit it again. We got that. We got the motor up on the hoist, and we went ahead and hit that with the pressure washer. Now we'll have to just clean it up, spin it over, get any water that may have went down inside out. We've got to drop the pan and put the engine swap oil pan on. What else did we get down here? We got a mess. We got the bed pressure washed. We got everything moved around again. We got our front spindles power washed, cleaned up. Steering box pressure washed. All of the extreme plastics off, and now we got a bunch of cleanup to do. So I'm gonna get started on getting all this swept up, spin this motor over and get it cleaned up, and we'll see how far we get. Got everything put back up. We got a giant mess in here, but we got the heat running so it'll dry off. All this stuff needs detailed still, but it's all wet, so it's definitely got to dry off first. We did pull all the spark plugs out of the motor, spun it over. We took air and blew everything out, down all the ports, intake, exhaust, pulled all the spark plugs out, rolled the motor over just to make sure there was nothing in the cylinders, and we're all good. Now we're just going to let this thing dry off a little bit. We'll get our motor mounts bolted to the side and get the transmission bolted to it and get this thing test fit in the chassis. Alright, we got our motor mounts loosely bolted. They're slotted so they can go forward and back, probably about an inch it looks like. So we'll let the transmission dedicate where that's going to go. Same thing with this side. We did get the oil pan off. Now we have to pull the dips or the oil pump pickup tube. There's a 10mm bolt right there, and on the other side it goes up to one of the window tray nuts. So we'll pull that off, get the window tray off, and I'm going to test fit it with the pan, the new pan, but I'm not going to do all the window tray and the pickup tube yet because this motor is going to come right back out. We're going to detail up the motor a little bit, paint it. We are also doing a cam. We're going to do a Texas Speed. Actually, I think it's the 224R cam on a 110 lobe separation. So as you can see, we got our wheel pickup tube off and the window tray. This motor actually only had 89,000 miles on it, and it does look pretty clean inside. Even inside the oil pan, it's really not bad at all. Some normal discoloration, but no real sludge or anything like that. So looks good. Let's get this new pan on, get the transmission bolted up to it, and see how it fits. MV3500 bolts right up to a 5.3 or really any LS for that matter. This came out of that truck, which was a 2003 Chevy Extreme with a 4.3, so it does have the top bolt. I don't think the earlier ones had that top bolt, but even if it doesn't, you don't have to use that. But since it's there, we're definitely going to use it. So we're made it up there. Pan's on, motor mounts are on. Let's wheel this around, see how it fits. Alright guys, it actually fit in there pretty good already. The back mount was a little bit tight. The whole thing needs to go forward a little bit, and it looks like we still had some room in the slots on the motor mount, but I couldn't get it to really go forward. And then I saw the culprit. I left the bolts loose on the cross member here that hold the brake lines, and they're sticking out a little too far, and they're touching the oil pan, so that's why we couldn't go any further forward. So we're going to lift this back up a little bit, take those bolts out for now. All right, and that did the trick. We're sitting in there. We're a little tight in between the cross member there. There's some factory wires that run through there, and of course the brake lines. I think they'll still fit, but it is a little bit tight. Transmission mount dropped right in place this time. Go to this side. This side looks good too. Now we are loose. I left everything loose, so everything's mocked up, but definitely I wanted to leave it loose just in case we had to shift stuff around a little bit. Even the frame mounts are still loose on there. But so far, it's a little tight, but everything does fit. So, let's see. Oh yeah. Some guys were telling me there could be an issue between the frame and the oil pan, and as you can see there, we actually have plenty of room there. So, probably every chassis is a little bit different, every configuration. But as far as this one goes, we're good. We have room. Let's grab a header and throw it on there and see how it looks. Alright, and the verdict is this side actually fits beautiful. We have it snuggled up to the head with 2 bolts. It is definitely tight, and I'm glad I got the tubular A-arms because they I don't think factory A-arms would clear. Of course, these aren't really bolted on yet. They're just kind of sitting there. They will come this way a little bit more. But as you can see, it's tight through there, but it does clear. Even down in there, everything's clearing nice until we get to this side. So, unfortunately, there's a broken bolt I still have to get out of the head here, so there's a stud sticking out. We have it slid on there, and I can't even get the header up high enough to get the bolt hole lined up. And it appears that we're definitely hitting the frame right here. But I'm not sure if we're hitting the frame because of header fitment or if we're hitting the frame because we're also hitting the bell housing. Now they could not tell me whether these headers would work with the MV3500 5-speed trans. So probably my next step is going to be pull the motor mounts back out. We'll jack this back up and test fit the header to the motor and trans. I guess we probably should have did that anyway. We'll test fit the header to the motor and trans bolt together. I'm not sure why I didn't do that. It's kind of dumb. So if it doesn't fit out of the chassis, then we're definitely gonna have to clearance the bell housing some. Once we get that, then we can drop it back in, and hopefully then with more clearance, it'll clear that frame rail. I don't know if it is though, to be honest. I really hate to have to modify these headers. They're supposed to fit, and we're definitely gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They're a nice looking header, and they are stainless work, so they're not. It's not like a fly-by-night company. They've been around a while and they make a really nice product. So yeah, we're not going to give up yet. Like I said, it's getting late. I think it's actually about midnight, so we'll probably tackle this tomorrow. It is sitting in there. Motor mounts work very nicely. Driver side header fits very nicely so far. Passenger side we need to work on. So I think we're going to call it there, and it's our first fail of the build, so it's going to happen. I'm sure it's going to happen more than this one time too. We'll find the solution and get around it. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.